Florida off to a 9-3 start. A number of transfers, including the young man jumping center. That's the 7-footer Hanlogden. And Quinnipiac will control the opening tip as we are underway from the O'Connell Center.
How about Reyes getting on the floor on the opening possession?
I like
the effort.
I want that kind of intensity throughout the game today. Sometimes you don't know what the spirit is going to look like so close to the holiday of New Year's Eve. First trip is an empty one for the Bobcats. The Gators will set it up the starting five, and you'll notice no Riley Kugel, who's been in a shooting slump. He is not going to start today, but Walter Clayton Jr. has been terrific along with Zion Pullen. They've got great depth at the guard spot.
Wow, what an open. The block by Otieno, which leads to the transition three by Blanc. And I think we're going to see a lot of this today, and I'm talking about Quinnipiac changing their defenses. Right now, the first look at a 2-3. I think they're going to try and keep Florida off balance.
Gators not gun shy. You've got some good shooters. Will Richard, who's been coming on of late, he's one of them. He's going to take a second attempt, and he'll knock down the second.
Again, it comes after an offensive rebound. Hanlogden kept that play alive.
Richard, who shot nearly 40% from downtown a year ago, is up to 36% as you see the starting five. Lewis and Blanc, like I mentioned, the two veteran guards to look out for. Lewis is actually tied for second in the country in assists. This is their big option down low, Otieno, and he's a good one. A great guy to give a few paint touches to, the 6'8", 225-pound senior.
Yeah, it gives them a legit block-to-block threat. Back to the 2-3.
Clayton, that one was blocked. Great hands by Amari Tice, the sophomore out of New York. Quickly in transition, he gets his shot blocked. That one was swatted away by Clayton.
Both of these point guards make smart, simple plays.
Pullen, who's been terrific this year for the Gators, the transfer from UC Riverside.
Mismatch.
Inside Samuel, gonna play a little beast mode, down mode, and just carves out space, and that's like taking candy.
He got on a mismatch inside with Lewis.
5-5 start here in Gainesville. Gators off to a 9-3 start on the season. Shot missed that time by Otieno. Here come the Gators, secondary break. Nothing there, and they'll set up in the half court. Pullen measures up a three and splashes one home.
I really feel like he's getting better and better as a three-point threat.
Pullen, who has been such a steady influence at the point guard spot. 46 assists, 10 turnovers on the year.
Yeah, that's number one in this conference. Assist to turnover ratio. And of his 10 turnovers, 5 came in one game.
Lewis in the trees. Nifty move. Missed the layup. Tapped around and scooped up by Pullen.
Numbers.
Pullen on the attack. Good passing. The return. The corner three. Got it. Will Richard already his second three ball.
Just outstanding ball movement in transition.
Gators on an 8-0 run.
And Quinnipiac does like to play fast. Top 50 in the country in tempo. But I don't know that they want to play Florida fast.
Blanc had it poked away. Attacked Hanlogden, who got his hands on it. Clayton out of the corner. Pullen probes the baseline and stepped out of bounds. It will be Quinnipiac basketball.
Go back to the last couple of threes. The defender goes under the screen. Pullen makes him pay. And then in transition, it's all about the extra pass. Not only by Richard to Clayton, but Clayton returns the favor.
Hard drive. Samuel just stood his ground and knocked it away. Tice got it back into the hands of Lewis. Lewis, beautiful feed. And a missed layup by Otieno. I'd like to have that one back.
Yeah, did Clayton get a piece of that from behind, maybe?
Might have. And then Pullen draws the foul on the other end, and that will quickly take us to our first media timeout. Obviously, Pitt right now is the best win. Who knows what Michigan will look like, a double overtime win. And I would always say, especially those familiar with this fan base, regardless of what Florida State does the rest of the year,
yes,
you blow out the Seminoles in a game that you and I had a few weeks ago, that's always going to be big.
Yeah, they need Florida State to win, Michigan to win, Pittsburgh to keep winning. And remember, the net is a real-time tool, So what might be a quad one win today may not be tomorrow, and vice versa.
Right now, our own Joe Lenardi has the Gators as a 10 seed, along with a couple other SEC squads on that same 10 line. The Gamecocks, a surprising team, and Mississippi State. A rare offensive rebound. Tough shot, and drawing the foul was Matt Belonk. One of the first things that Tom Pecora and the coaching staff will tell you about Matt Belonk is that he has great athleticism. That's been there from the start. What has evolved over time is his overall game and skill level.
I like to think of it this way. He has a unique combination of having a scorer's mentality, but a real smoothness about his game. He doesn't force the issue at all.
Riley Kugel in the game now for Florida as Belonk, who's second in the MAC, that's Metro Atlantic, not to be confused with that one up in the Midwest. Second in the MAC in scoring with 18.7 points per game, and the silky smooth free throws from an 88% free throw shooter. Snaps a 9-0 run.
Yeah, how about this, going down the floor after the made free throws, a little 1-2-1-1, a diamond in one.
Riley Kugel gets bumped and fouled, and that gives us an opportunity to talk about Riley Kugel. As you see, Tom Pecora in his first year as the head coach. What a fun guy to talk to. This is the kind of guy you want a beer or two with before or after the game. Probably after would be better for him, and for that matter for us. But a long-time assistant at Villanova under Jay Wright, the head coach at places like Hofstra and Fordham. And awfully excited about the opportunity at Quinnipiac.
He was telling stories yesterday from his Raleigh Massimino days in Vegas. So
he is a grinder and a lifer. He was telling us this morning, he said, yeah, if I retired, I don't know what the heck I'm going to do. So I want to keep going. My wife wants me to, too. She doesn't want me around the house all day. I think we can all relate to that as Alexis Reyes banks one home on the follow to make it 14-8, make it 16-8.
Bobcats giving the Gators a little dose of their own medicine, going to the offensive glass.
Clayton with a Euro step, nifty move by Walter Clayton. The transfer from Iona, where he was the MAC Player of the Year in this conference. He averaged 16 points per game on a 27-win team led by Rick Pitino.
So I wanted to show everybody this because Tom Pecora, in between jobs, got to work on television for a couple of years. And so he kind of knows the routine. And he came over to me at practice yesterday morning and actually gave me this yellow sheet of paper that had keys to the game on it. Mike, I've never had a coach do that.
No, some of them treat it like it's the missing files from the Kennedy assassination, but yes.
Don't you think it should be a new norm?
I would like that.
That all coaches watching this, come on, help us out a little bit.
All coaches listening, if you could give us keys to the game on a sheet of paper, that would be fantastic. It would really help our world a little bit easier, especially, the memory is not what it used to be. When they tell us, we don't always remember the next day. He is a coach's coach, as they like to say. And Quinnipiac, I mentioned no more Rick Pitino at Iona, so it's really a wide open league. I mean, Ryder is the preseason favorite, but they believe that they've got just as good a shot as anybody to win the league. Pullen on the pull-up, knocks it down.
Well, Quinnipiac keeps going under the ball screen, and Pullen keeps making them pay.
Gators have hit their last 6 field goals. This is a good, skilled shooting team that Florida possesses. Some days it shows up more than others, but a lot more weapons for Todd Golden this year in his second in Gainesville. Nice follow by Caden Bennett, his first year with the program out of Grand Prairie, Texas.
It doesn't make a lot of twos. 12 of his 17 shots are from deep.
The Aussie in the game, Alex Condon. Condon draws a double. Hits the cutting Clayton. Clayton with the hoop and the harm. All set up by the dime from down under, Alex Condon.
A little inside-out action. I actually thought Condon had felt like he had given the ball at the wrong time. Seemed to try to catch it back. But Clayton, remember this. All big guys who post up, Mike, need to see 2 things. They need to see a cutter, and they need to see a three-point shooter. And that time, Clayton almost played the role of both.
Gators with not just more shooting this year, but more size. Tyrese Samuel has been magnificent all year long. The transfer from Seton Hall, and then Hand-Logden and Condon, they can throw bodies at you in waves.
Oh.
Wow! High off the glass and in by the 6'1 guard, Savion Lewis.
Creative, fearless, attacks the rim. Condon can make those, but he's just 4 for now 17 on the year.
Yeah, a little bit of a heat check three that time. Lewis finds himself wide open in the corner. Gators fortunate that time as they've completely lost Savion Lewis. Coming up on the 12.5-minute mark of the first half, the Gators trying to improve to 10-3 on the year before starting SEC play with the mighty Wildcats. And boy, do they look good so far. Good looking shot that time by Thomas Houck.
Yeah, his plus minus has been really good in Florida's biggest opponents. Has not shot the ball well this year, but more than capable. Finding his way offensively, as a lot of freshmen have to do.
That Kentucky game, by the way, to start off conference play, already a sellout. The students will be back in town here in the O-Dome, and you know that's going to be an incredible environment as Clayton draws the foul on his way to the bucket, and that's where we will pick up when we return. The Gators on top of the Bobcats, 23-16.
This is the group that I'm calling the newbies for every team that we cover this year. Florida has 4 transfers and 2 freshmen on that list, and look at the production that they are getting from that list of newbies. By the way, speaking of Billy Horschel, I need a little help with my chipping game.
Okay.
You think I can halftime maybe?
I can refer you to some people. You certainly don't want tips from me. I can promise you that. The golf game is not exactly strong these days, especially as the winter weather cuts into any hacking of golf courses around the Southeast.
Yeah, I haven't quite gotten there with my new knee yet.
We're just happy you could walk to the table and back,
kidding.
my friend. We're just happy to keep you going steady.
Hard double on Lewis.
Yeah, that's 3 times Quinnipiac has missed one at point blank range. That's Richie Springs, a transfer from Connecticut.
Aberdeen, the backup point, coming off a good game.
Inside, they tried to get it to Condon, could not reel it in.
Yeah, big guys cannot catch a one-handed ball. It's very difficult. Well, see the simple play that Lewis makes?
Yep.
It's not fancy. He just understands the pick and pop, and Springs knocks down the 3.
Springs didn't play much at UConn, but he did log a few minutes into that blowout in the national championship game, so that might be the last time people at home have seen him play and remember maybe the name after spending much of his time coming off the bench with the Huskies. Storrs, Connecticut, about an hour south of Hamden, Connecticut, where Quinnipiac calls home.
The same play. I think this is an illegal screen. Too bad, because Springs was about to knock down the same shot he did in the previous possession. Watch this little throwback by Lewis. This is not complicated. Pick and pop, attract the big. Now Springs gets away with a travel on the step back. Guys that have great numbers in assists, I feel like, have an understanding that the simple play, the simple assist, counts just as much as the fancy one.
Yeah, don't have to go behind the back. Doesn't give you any extra credit.
Back to the zone.
Trying to zone bust it right here. That's one way of doing it. Richard launches his 3rd 3 of the half.
2 ways to beat a zone. You can either shoot a team out or rebound a team out. And right now, Florida trying to shoot the Bobcats out.
And I'm not sure they could have done that a year ago. This was not a great 3-point shooting team last year. They had limited weapons. This year, you've got Kugel in a slump. You see the updated numbers.
Richard now has knocked down 3 or more threes 4 times this year.
And Kugel, who was in earlier, kind of an uneventful stint as the travel goes against Quinnipiac. But Riley Kugel, something to keep an eye on. He is in a slump. He's mired in an 0 for 16 3-point slump. This is a young man that shot 41% from downtown in conference play, but has struggled in the early going, and obviously a weapon they want to get going. Defers there to Richard, who's got the hot hand. Left that one short. Here comes Riley on the run out. Riley all the way. Missed it. Another layup missed, but an offensive rebound for the Bobcats.
That might have been a little quick by Springs. So what do you do if you're a player that's where your confidence is a little shaken? Look to impact the game in different ways other than scoring.
And Kugel is such an elite athlete, he can do that. Doesn't have to hit threes to make a great impact on the floor. He'll set up a three here. Make it 0 for his last 17.
What a great rundown by Hauk in the corner.
Nice pass by Kugel, setting up Richard. And finally, Richard cools off a bit. And then a reach-in foul to go against Hanlogden.
But, Mike, that's the kind of play I'm talking about. Drive, find a teammate. It was an excellent decision by Kugel. Richard had a great look at the three ball.
You know, one thing about Kugel as well, I'll say, you and I have seen this with players. Kugel made such a name for himself late in the season and in the SEC tournament. And that's when you have people in our position that hear scouts saying, oh, he looks like a first-round pick. And then all of a sudden you start getting all that noise in your ear and you want to play up to that mark. It just adds a layer of pressure.
Man, it's difficult.
For the record, I did not put that kind of pressure on. I just let the kids play. 9-point advantage for Florida.
Springs has got the green light.
Yes, he does. He's been awfully active and aggressive. Quinnipiac gets an extra possession. That three came off like a knuckleball, but another opportunity. It's the third shot, another brick, and finally the rebound ripped away by Hanlogden.
But I love the board work of OTN. He is so active. That's got to be a block.
Yeah, Kugel is such a hard guy to defend when he does a power dribble and takes it to the rack. So explosive in that 6'5", 205-pound frame, and he'll get a chance at the line, a 1-and-1. He's shooting 67% from the line this year. You could make an argument that Riley Kugel last year had the best freshman campaign by a Gator since Bradley Beal. I mean,
especially when Castleton went down.
That's right. They needed to find some help. They didn't have much of a post presence, and Kugel was lightning in a bottle for the Gators as a true freshman.
What is the old adage, Mike, that scorers just want to see the ball go through the net?
Yep.
Maybe those free throws will help him out.
First points for Kugel so far today. Coming up on 8 minutes to go in the first half. Quick hands and a steal by Richard. To Samuel. Down low, Kugel. Kugel with a beautiful feed, and that'll set up a foul and a trip to the line for Hanlogden. So like you said, Mark, Riley Kugel affecting the game in other ways.
Well, watch the way Florida blows up this dribble handoff. Richard just knifes between the offensive players to create the steal and the turnover. And then here's the little nifty pass, shovel pass from Kugel to Hanlogden. Now here's where Florida has really struggled.
Our first ACC basketball doubleheader of the new year on ESPN. R.J. Davis, Armando Bacot at number 9, North Carolina taking on Blake Hinson, and Pittsburgh at 7 Eastern. Then Kyle Filipowski at number 16, Duke hosting Syracuse at Cameron Indoor.
Yeah, R.J. Davis is lighting it up, having a great year.
Nice follow.
Right now the Bobcats are thriving in second chance points.
Offensive rebounds, I've got them down for 7. Aberdeen. To Kugel.
Trying to get the high-low situated.
Our conversation with Tom Pecora, he knew that guarding Samuel was going to be almost impossible. The Gators haven't given the big man many paint touches. Springs. Kelly on a pull-up jumper from 15.
Shot that with a lot of confidence, didn't he?
Sure did. First year out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Gators have missed their last 6 field goals. A little chilly from the floor. Kugel left alone for 3. That one pops out of there.
Nothing wrong with that look, though.
It He's definitely on the line. He just needs to hit a 3-ball to get out of that funk, as he's missed 18 straight. Lewis tries the teardrop, can't get it to drop.
Numbers.
Kugel whips it over far side, and Richard with an and one. Great ball movement, leads to a chance for a 3-point play the hard way.
The Gators top 20 in the country in tempo. Watch the way they do it. After the rebound, it's the cut, move without the basketball. Good things will happen. In his last 4 games, Will Richards is averaging over 16 points a game, shooting 43% from beyond the arc. He's continued that hot play here in the first half. Richard has already knocked down 3 3-balls and then shows a little versatility with the cut and trying to complete the and one opportunity.
Set such a high bar last year in a Gator uniform, hitting 51 threes and nearly 40%. Got off to a little chilly start this year and has come on of late, already a game high 12 points. He was number 1 in the SEC last year in offensive efficiency. That's in conference games, 130.1. Now, I don't know how you come up with that number, but I know it's good.
And it's even better when it's in conference play. And again, long shots, long rebounds. Florida not doing a very good job on the glass.
And it leads to an additional bucket for Alexis Reyes, the junior out of Roxbury, Massachusetts. He's getting a lot of run because the guy they're very high on, Rehard's Vavers, I should say, he has been banged up. They expect him back near the start of conference play. Samuel gliding and an offensive foul. And you got to really earn the charges with the new points of emphasis in college basketball. It's got to be pretty blatant.
He's got to be set by the time the last foot leaves the floor and is planted. I actually thought he was.
Yeah, I think
that's a good call.
And it was outside the restricted arc as well.
I like the combination of OTN and Tice. I think they're active, they're physical, they give Quinnipiac a block-to-block presence, if you will.
Shot clock at 10 and a reach-in foul. I believe they've got Condon.
You know, Condon's got 2 fouls, one challenging a 3-point shooter and another on a double team where you have the player confined and corralled.
Now, it's still a learning process for Alex Condon, who grew up a dual sport athlete competing in Australian rules football, among other things, where he was considered a top prospect. So he's not lacking toughness, we know that. Out of bounds to Florida. Now you and I are going to see this Gator team on the road not long from now against Mississippi State. I mentioned the opener at home against Kentucky.
1 week from today.
1 week from today. We're going to find a lot more out about this team. There's an open 3. Knocked down by Richwayne.
Yeah, Richwayne, 8 of his 9 shots have been threes. He's a 3-point specialist, if you will. Great cut that time by Blanc.
Tice on Clayton. Now it's Reyes. And up top to Lewis. Everything Lewis does has an element of smooth to it. Nothing smooth about that brick fired up by Tice.
All kind of ricocheted off legs. Bobcats will only have 1.9 on the shot clock because nothing hit the rim there.
Bobcats have fired off 6 more shots than the Gators. That's really what's keeping them in this game.
Like one thing that happened there, Lewis tried to penetrate and pull, and I talked about his physicality. It can show up defensively as well.
At the buzzer, hits the rim, and then Samuel grabs the carom. Samuel averaging nearly 9 rebounds a game.
Pretty impressive that Florida's big Samuel, Condon, hand-locked, and they can all bring the ball up the floor after rebounding.
How about big to big? Layup miss. Condon wanted the foul. And the Gators will get it right back on the turnover.
But who was disruptive on that play again? Take
Condon.
another look. Golden wanted a foul. I don't think I've ever seen an official call the foul as you're running back down the floor, have they?
Usually not. That delayed, like a late penalty flag in football. Clayton gets hammered on his way to the rack. Clayton continues his fine performance. He's now got 8.
Mike, don't you feel like this is a real last segment of the first half for Quinnipiac if they want to be the hang-around team?
Yeah, I mean, they've gotten the benefit of 9 offensive rebounds to get the extra possessions, but their shooting has gone cold, now 32%. Reyes, that's a careless pass, tries to thread the needle, can't do it, 5 on the shot clock.
What an effort by Samuel, though. Double teamed on the pick and roll, and then had to sprint back to almost get the interception.
I remember the first time I saw Tyrese Samuel in person was at SEC Media Days, and he walked in and I said, now that is what an SEC big man looks like. And he is put together and, of course, used that frame in the Big East, so you know he's not lacking toughness.
Correct.
If you play that position in that conference.
Yeah, Bobcats lost track of the shot clock, which led to the violation. Good little horn set by Florida.
Pullen pulls the trigger and knocks down the triple. And a quick timeout by Tom Pecora and Quinnipiac.
Mike, I've talked about this a couple of times. Quinnipiac against Pullen continues. Keep your eye on number 3 defensively. That's Lewis. He goes under the screen and gives Pullen all kinds of room to find the rim. And with Pullen knocking down the shots, they may have to rethink that strategy.
I counted 2 screens. Looked like a staggered screen with a couple of big bodies setting up for a shooter. Todd Golden, who in his playing days would have loved to have that kind of set for him. He still has a jump shot. Every now and then you'll catch him and shoot around, letting a few go.
You think he would want to talk to Randy Bennett about that? Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely.
I like the way Lewis has an understanding that a lot of times the guy that's open is where the ball came from. Oh, great ball fake.
Tough shot. Yeah. Wow. Matt Block with the green light.
Elite three-point shooter. 39% on the year.
How about 3 for 3? Will Richards says, I can match you. 4th triple for Richard and a 15-point first half. Good pass. Again, a miss from close range. How about a follow? Another miss. Tough early going for Otieno. Clayton to pull in.
Oh, no,
yes! No. A little showtime that time.
Having a little fun, if you will, in transition. Florida is already flirting with 10 made threes in the first half. Take another look. Clayton between the legs. I don't think normally Pullen would shoot that, but it was a great pass. He felt the seams.
Walter Clayton from Lake Wales, Florida, overlooked in the basketball recruiting process. He was a big-time high school football prospect, could have played at a number of Power 5 schools. Decided, nope, I want to play hoops. Played for Rick Pitino, and then could have followed Rick Pitino to St. John's. Decided instead to come back to his home state of Florida. Clayton, he's having some fun now. He can feel the defender on his back, low dribble, draw the contact, get another trip to the line.
He sort of got the defender on his back and drafted his way into the lane. Take another look at the past previous possession. See the seams? All shooters love it when the seams kind of find their way to your hands. It just feels better coming off.
That's extra pressure, too, if you're pulling, because it's such a pretty pass. The crowd all wants that play to be capped off with a shot made. If you miss it, it's like, oh, that was...
Yeah, too quick. We'd be the first to say it's too quick.
Absolutely, yeah. Clayton splashes home another free throw, and he becomes the 3rd Gator to reach double figures in the half. Richard with 15, Pullen with 14.
And I talked about this being the last segment of the first half being very important. There is a great battle right now between the fifth-year point guard for the Bobcats, Savion Lewis, and Pullen, the grad student for Florida. They are going head-to-head. It is fun to watch.
Well, I love what Coach Pecora told us about Savion Lewis. He's a young man who tore an ACL 2 years ago, so he lost a little bit of explosiveness. But what happened in that process is he spent a lot of time having to watch on the bench and learning the point guard position better. So he's a better player after the injury.
Understands the game better. Back to the zone. Dangerous here with Pullen and Richard, the way they're shooting three balls.
It's going to be an open look somewhere. There it is for Kugel. He passes it up. Pullen lobs down low. Kick out Kugel, the swing, and the pull. In and out. And then fouled on the floor was Hauk, Thomas Hauk, knifing in and getting position.
One of the keys to attacking a zone is making the zone move. How do you do that? Ball reversal. The ball's on the right side of the floor, gets to the left, it goes back to the right. Then you have the high-low look. Wonderful offense by Florida.
You know, Quinnipiac has to do what their strength is, but Mark, looking ahead to conference play, there are a lot of teams, even good ones, where you feel good about zoning them up. I don't think this is a Florida team you want to zone up too much in SEC play.
Might depend on the lineup that they're forced to play. There might be a moment where you can maybe think, okay, now's the time to zone. But the way Richard and Pullen are shooting today, it would be difficult.
Eventually, you have to figure Kugel will get it going. He's just in a funk right now, shooting from outside. Under a minute to go, first half. Pullen on the drive. Oh, he made that look easy. And then almost a steal. Can't say enough about the importance when he became eligible. You and I were talking to Coach Golden before that happened.
Watch this by Hauk, though, who kind of sets a screen in the lane right there.
Yep.
Kind of a ghost screen, or what does football call that when you kind of, you know, the wide receivers?
Well, it's kind of a pick play in football, yeah. It's technically illegal, but rarely called.
Oh, again, great ball fake.
Oh, he's got a unique way of finding his shot, even if a defender is on him. A little jump cut, pull up three.
And every shot looks like it's going in.
Looks like it's going in. You talk about rotation. It's beautiful rotation for him. 3-second differential. Gators bleeding clock here. Under 10 now for Pullen. There's Richard. Oh, he had his man. Step back. Instead it'll be a pull-up, an air ball. Final 5 seconds of the half. Here comes that man, Blanc. Blanc all the way. Blanc missed it. And that is how the half will come to a close.
For games, so they're going to be a handful once league play continues. They've already played a couple of games in league play. They did the Buffalo trip where you play at Niagara and at Canisius and split that trip.
And again, they play in the Metro Atlantic, the MAAC. Quinnipiac has made multiple NCAA tournament appearances over the years. No stranger to postseason basketball. And a rare mistake by Pullen. I mentioned that assist-to-turnover ratio. For my money, one of the best stats if you want to judge a point guard. 46 assists, 10 turnovers coming into this game.
That leads this conference. This is a little shuffle cut and then a flare screen. That's good offense. Tice is really quiet in the first half.
Very much so. Altieno, though, keeps it alive with an offensive rebound, and Tice, the second time, is true.
Wow, he got such a kind roll. That ball actually hit the back of the rim and just kind of deadened.
It was more of a stick and drop than a roll. Hand-logged it. Feeds his fellow big Samuel, who rattles that one home.
Yeah, took advantage of the switch. Quinnipiac will switch 1 through 4, 1 through 5, but that leads to some mismatches at times.
Sometimes I think Samuel in these type of games gets a little bored because he doesn't have anybody who can match him up physically. That'll change pretty soon. Oh, a nice and one that time. Well, you mentioned that Tice has been quiet. He's making some noise on the last 2 possessions.
Yeah, dribble drive around Samuel. Hand locked, and here's the kind of parade defense that time by Samuel. Hand locked and got in no man's land. Got again a kind roll off the iron, just kind of fell through. And one opportunity.
6'7", 220-pound sophomore out of Newburgh, New York. And 3 the hard way gives Quinnipiac a 20-point deficit, 54-34. Clayton weaving, dishing, Houck on a triple. Handlock and tap no good. Second tap no good. And finally corralled by Amari Tice.
How did that not go down?
Belong. Boy, is he fun to watch. That's a great move and shot. Just couldn't get it to drop. Pulling. Crossover, drive, flips it up, no good, and there's the follow-up slam by the 7-footer, Micah Handloggin, the former Marshall Thundering Herd.
The drive doesn't always have to score. As long as you attract bigs, that leaves your fellow big free to operate on the offensive glass.
Wide open Reyes. Puts a dent in the backboard, but there's the follow. And another and one opportunity. How about the activity by Amari Tice?
13 offensive rebounds by Quinnipiac will not please Todd Golden. I often say it's the air balls that are the most difficult to rebound. I understand that hit the backboard, but it's the same concept. Because for a defensive rebounder, as you see the reaction by the head Gator, defensive rebounding has a rhythm to it. And when the ball doesn't hit the iron, it disrupts the rhythm, and the advantage actually goes to the offensive player.
It's a little bit out of character for this Florida team that came into this game plus 12 on the glass. Full court pressure by the Bobcats. And it gets a turnover out of it. Lewis. Drive and kick, sets up a wide open 3. A rare miss by Belong. Gators can run if they want to. They got numbers. Here comes Pullen. Alley-oop! And the finish by Richard. And we have a whistle after the dunk.
I think this is on Richard for hanging on the rim.
Todd Golden irate.
Take another look at. Oh, there he does.
Slap,
he does slap the backboard. Good call.
He's fine here, not so much there.
Yeah.
And I get it. A lot of people are saying, come on now, let him play. But that is, by the letter of the law, the right call.
Class B technical, so it's 1 free throw. I thought they had called hanging on the rim, and I didn't like that at all. But once I saw the slapping of the backboard.
That was a problem for you back in your day, was it? I mean, constantly after you slammed it, hanging on the rim and then slapping the backboard. That's what you were known for.
Because I couldn't find the foot on the ladder. I couldn't get it back down.
All things being equal, if that's the worst thing that happens to Florida in this second half, that'll be quite all right. Gators have really, other than the rebounding, have been firing on all cylinders in this game.
I feel like the Bobcats have kind of come out in the second half and have landed the first blow.
There's Otieno. Had a quiet first half. The big guy getting his second bucket. Inside. Kick out pass to Richard. Gets the flyby, hits the jumper. Beautiful job. Pump fake on the 3, hit the deep 2.
But that's the new wave of defending on the flyby. Run them off the lane, or run them off the line.
Right.
Save a point.
Blanc.
No, you can't go under.
No.
You cannot go under on him.
He's a classic case. I mean, you can't convince me he couldn't play in the Power 6 conference. But to his credit, Richard, oh man.
Oh my goodness.
Man, oh man, oh man, he is feeling it. 22 points for Richard. And the Gators already with 10 threes. They're coming off their highest scoring first half of the year. It tied the mark against Florida State, another game that you and I had, Mark. They might keep inviting us back if this keeps up.
Not again. Watch out.
Back iron, but an offensive rebound reeled in by Houck.
And a mismatch on the switch. Yep.
Walter Clayton probes the baseline and finds daylight.
Speaking of never getting sped up, how about Walter Clayton? Just plays with such ease.
Well, for a football player, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he kind of defies.
Oh,
nice job. Big to big. A no-look helper from Condon. It is all going well for the men in orange and blue right now. Timeout on the floor. Gators have their biggest lead.
In transition, Condon to Houck, freshman to freshman.
The Gators have been playing a near perfect second half after a pretty impressive first half and lead it 67-45.
Again, I thought Quinnipiac came out and delivered the first couple of blows here in the second half, but Florida has responded.
Reaching foul on Bennett. Billy Horschel, you know, if you're a golf fan, a guy who played here as an amateur back in, 2005 to 2007?
2009.
2009, okay, close enough.
Yeah.
And since then, you've been making a whole lot of noise on the tour throughout that. I know you've got a busy schedule. So first off, I know you live in Jacksonville. What's the occasion to come here and let the little man here catch a Gator basketball game?
Yeah, so Axel here, he came to his first football game against FSU, and he's like, he wanted to come to a basketball game, and we just worked it out that before we went back on the road next Saturday to come over and catch a game. So he's been excited to watch the game. Listen, he's a Florida Gator, just like my two girls are through and through. We are raising them correctly.
There you go.
Billy, I wanted to ask, where does your season start?
Next week I start out in Hawaii in Sony, so someone's got to go to Hawaii.
I'm available if you need somebody to carry your bag. If you need,
we
some
make
help.
great caddies.
Will do. If my caddy comes up lame, with a hip injury or something, I will make sure I give you guys a call.
Alley-oop is a miss for Florida. One of the few things that has not gone right in this second half. So you make the short commute from Jacksonville. You get a chance to catch a game, and so does 4-year-old Axel. What about your time at Florida? You played with Buddy Alexander, legendary Gator golf coach, and so many great players have come through Gainesville. But to talk about your time playing here collegiately and just the experience as a student here.
Yeah, I loved it. I grew up a Gator fan, and then be able to come to my dream school and play under Buddy Alexander, who's a legendary coach. Honestly, if I didn't come here, I wouldn't be where I am right now. So I'm very fortunate for Buddy and the University of Florida, all the opportunities I got. But when I was here, we won 2 football national championships, two basketball national championships. I mean, it was everyone in all the athletic departments in the other sports, they wanted to win championships, SEC titles. We won mini track field titles, we won swimming titles. I mean, it was in the air to be great, and it's nice that we're getting closer there. Our other sports are still killing it, but basketball and football has had a hard time over the last few years, but I think basketball is on the right track, and football is not too far away.
And a great year for the golf team coming off a national championship.
Exactly. For the golf team to finally win a national championship, it's been since 2001. J.C. Deacon and Dudley Hart's done an unbelievable job, and those kids put in the time, and I was very emotional watching that on TV to see them get it done.
Billy, I wanted to ask you about the work that no one sees, the amount of practice time, the grind of the tour. What's that like?
Yeah, that's a great question. You're exactly right. People want to see the time we put in. Listen, I'm here today watching a basketball game, but if I wasn't, I'd be on the driving range, on the golf course, practicing, playing. Many hours spent working out in the gym. I mean, listen, every player is different in how much time they put in, but I put in a lot of time, as do a lot of other professional golfers do, to be successful. And it's no different than any other sport. What goes on away from the public eye, there's a lot of time spent trying to be great and improve in your sport, and that's the only way to get better.
So you're telling me my chipping game is not going to get any better by not working on it?
Yeah, those 5 minutes of chipping on the putting green, working on it, it's not going to improve very much, no.
Billy, you've won, correct me if I'm wrong, is it 7 PGA events?
Correct.
Which one stands above the rest? I know they're all special.
They're all really special. I've been very fortunate enough to win 7 times. And listen, I have a goal of winning, at least 10 times on the PGA Tour. I think if you win 10 times on the PGA Tour in this generation of playing on the PGA Tour, that's one heck of a career. The FedEx Cup, 2014 winning the FedEx Cup was pretty special at 27 years old. I would say the next one would be Zurich Classic, my first win on the PGA Tour, and then not far behind that is winning Memorial last year in 22 at Jack's Place. It was the first time my wife had seen me win. It's the first time my kids had seen me win. So it was a pretty emotional time to have that all happen. Something I've always wanted to have my kids and wife run out on the green. When you win a tournament, that's something that you always have, and you have video evidence of it for the rest of your life.
Has the competition in the sport ever been greater than it is right now?
That's a great question. I think it's the toughest it's ever been. It's the strongest it's ever been. The game of golf's in a beautiful spot right now. I think all the guys that, there's a lot of young guys coming up through college ranks and amateur ranks that have the ability to be great. And, it pushes the guys that are at the top of the food chain right now to continue to work hard, to continue to hold their spot in town, because they know if they sort of let up just a little bit, there's 5, 10, 15 other guys willing to take their spot.
Billy, what excites you about college basketball and Florida basketball? What do you like about the sport?
You know what? It's in a defined window, so 2 hours makes it really nice to watch instead of a 3.5-hour game sometimes in football or baseball. I just love the college sport. I love when you see the kids that are playing for each other, they're playing for the college, they're playing for the coaches and everything. I just love that raw enthusiasm. Listen, sports change with NIL and transfer a little bit, but you can see when the team is really cohesive and they're really playing for each other, and obviously the Gator emblem, it means a lot. And Todd Golden's done an unbelievable job, obviously in his second year now, but I think this team we have here is one of the best offensively teams we've had in a long time. And we can play down low, we can shoot from outside. So I like the talent and ability we have of this team right now.
I like your analysis, which tells me maybe Billy Horschel's got a little game to him. I know Axel's going to have some game when he's not hitting golf balls, right?
Yeah. So his basketball practices start next Thursday. His little YMCA youth league that they're doing back home in Ponte Vedra.
Nice.
He's all excited about that. I didn't play basketball growing up, not in a league setting. Just played with friends and everything. Played a whole bunch of other sports, but listen, I've been around basketball. I've watched it my entire life. I love the sport. I love sport in general. I
just want to tell Axel there's no such thing as a great assist. Okay, let it fly.
Yes, exactly.
Billy,
shooting. He's not afraid. I've always seen the videos from this past fall. He shoots it and he's not afraid to.
Billy, can't thank you enough for the time. Thank you so much.
Good luck. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
75-48 our score. Billy Horschel, everybody, joining us. He'll be in Hawaii soon enough.
All right, I'm going to ask you.
Bring it.
Who do you have in the semifinals?
I think we're looking at a rematch of Alabama and Texas, and I think Alabama is going to give Nick Saban his 8th national championship.
Wow.
And remind everybody why they got in over Florida State. A move that I'm sure was quite popular in these parts, Mark Wise. I don't think many Gators feel sorry for the Seminoles not getting in the playoff.
I have a sneaky suspicion Michigan is going to get it done.
Finally? Well, I tell you what, they've got about as many NFL guys on that team as anybody in the country. If you believe the NFL draft prognostications, this is not just a scrappy Jim Harbaugh team. They are loaded talent-wise. They're actually a slight favorite in that game. Kugel more aggressive here in this second half, takes it back to the rack and draws a foul. He's working on a 6-point game.
But remember, I talked about impacting the game in different ways, and one of the ways that you can do that is to get to the free throw line, even though they're not going to award him free throws in this possession, excuse me.
And that is the third team foul on Quinnipiac. And Kugel will get it up top.
One of the things that I think is underrated, Florida plays these 4 bigs for 2 positions, and I think they can play them almost interchangeably. Right now the combination is Condon and Samuel.
Aberdeen on a dipsy-do, no. Follow-up tip somehow misses the mark of Condon, but Samuel does a push-up on the rim on the follow.
Yeah. One of the things we're keeping an eye on right now, the countdown to 1,000 for Tyrese Samuel. He needs 4 more.
4 more for 1K throughout his illustrious career, the former Canadian.
I thought Condon knocked the rebound away from Samuel that time.
And now a steal by Aberdeen. Nothing but daylight ahead.
That's how you get more playing time, I think. Be impactful with the minutes you get.
Only a sophomore out of Orlando, Florida. Springs, the former UConn Husky. Kugel. What's the alley-oop? And missed it. I was a little bit concerned about Kugel because he almost got undercut.
There's the steal by Aberdeen, getting out into the passing lane for an easy pick 6. The little two-handed schwackums.
As you mentioned, I mean, Aberdeen is a guy on a lot of teams he would be playing, if not starting, but there's such a glut of quality guards on this year's Florida team. He's fighting for minutes. Kugel wheels and deals, and he'll go back to the free throw line.
Slashing, creative, powerful, explosive. All adjectives that can describe Riley Kugel at times, especially when he tries to get himself to the rim.
You did use explosive, right?
Yes.
Knocks down the first, our first ACC basketball doubleheader of the year. On ESPN, R.J. Davis, Armando Bacot, and number 9, North Carolina, taking on Pitt at 7 Eastern. And then Kyle Filipowski, at number 16, Duke, hosts Judements and Syracuse at Cameron Indoor. Should be a great night of hoops on ESPN. What is the ACC going to look like this year? I think a lot of people are waiting for that league to kind of go back to the form it used to be, where it was one of the deepest leagues in college basketball.
Well, when you have so many teams, I think it's harder to be deep.
Yeah. Well, you lose a plethora of Hall of Fame coaches.
Oh, the
nice
save
job
by Kugel.
Nice. And then Condon couldn't help himself, drag the pivot foot, and he'll give it back to Quinnipiac.
The block by Kugel, Condon. And then before he goes out of bounds, a great save. Condon just gets a little too quick.
I think in the SEC, and we'll go over our first and second non-conference teams after the break.
Right.
I think we're finally starting to learn who's in what tier. And it's one of those things where you think you know before the season starts, and then you'll learn November, December, okay, here's what we're dealing with. For example, Kentucky was preseason number 16. That's the worst preseason ranking under Coach Calipari. They are not playing like a number 16 team. They're playing like a Final Four team.
Yeah, they are deep. They shoot a lot of threes. They make a lot of threes. And how about the freshman class? Whether you're talking about Dillingham or Shepard or Wagner, Edwards, Bradshaw. I mean, they really, that group, they're number 1 in the league in field goal percentage, 3-point percentage.
I've
a lot to like.
As Kugel takes it in, there's the tapping by Handlogging. I've said this many times, chatting with our own Paul Biancardi, the recruiting guru for us at the ESPN family of networks. Not all number 1 recruiting classes are built the same.
Correct. Great point.
And this number 1 recruiting class is special, and so is Riley Kugel on that alley-oop. Timeout called with 9:20 to go. Riley Kugel, after some great action from hand locking on both ends, says, I want to show you my hops. Gators up huge. He's hit 2 twos and a perfect 6 for 6 from the free throw line. And as you mentioned multiple times, Mark, he's doing the other things to help this team play well.
And all of a sudden, he's in double figures because of it.
Right. Sign of maturity, too. If the outside shot is not working, you can do other things to help yourself and help your team. Right now, Quinnipiac could use some help. They have run into a Gator blitz defensively, and there's Samuel on a steal. Samuel, the big man leading the break, and tries to tomahawk it down. That goes nowhere. Quinnipiac numbers the other way, and a block foul, which means no bucket. It's actually not a terrible foul by Berschwein.
How about the play by Otieno, though, to deny Samuel the look at the rim. And then on the other end, Berschwein, I think he's under. I think that's a good call. Again, both feet have to be planted. You have to be in legal guarding position by the time the last foot is planted by the offensive player.
Well, Otieno is a braver man than I to get in front of Samuel on that dunk attempt. Samuel grabs another rebound. That is 9 caroms for one of the top rebounders in the SEC.
He almost accidentally gets double doubles.
Kugel has it blocked, taps it over to Aberdeen. Gators are shooting 55% from the field in this game. Turnover, scooped up by Kugel. Down low, hand locked in, and who gets hammered?
And both teams playing a little giveaway, if you will.
I think to pick up on the conference point for a moment, Mark.
Yes.
One of the biggest stories to me, everybody focuses on the top, right? Everybody goes top down. If you look at the bottom up, this league, the teams that were at the bottom a year ago and expected maybe to be there again, all dramatically improved. That starts to me with teams like South Carolina and Ole Miss. Ole Miss under Coach Beard, undefeated, one of the better stories in college basketball. Gamecocks have only lost 1 game all year long. That was at Clemson, a top 20 team.
A game they almost won.
They almost won. Lamont Paris has done an outstanding job. And I would add this Florida team, although they didn't finish in the bottom last year, this to me looks like a dramatically improved team from a year ago.
You know who I don't think we're talking enough about this year right now?
Who's that?
Well, I think Auburn comes at you in waves.
Agreed.
Deep. Janai Broome, Aiden Holloway, the point guard, the freshman.
We've almost come to expect it for the Bruce Pearl team.
I think Jalen Williams got his 1,000th point last week.
Yeah. I'd say one other improved team. Samuel draws the foul. Don't sleep on the Georgia Bulldogs.
Right.
The former Gator coach, Mike White. They are a vastly improved squad as well.
Alabama has struggled in their toughest games, but I have him on the list along with Tyrese Samuel and Janai Broome, my bigs, and then the 2 wings in terms of Reeves, and Meechie Johnson's just been sensational.
He's been part of that great turnaround season for Lamont Paris and South Carolina that we just alluded to. So you got to pick the top 5. There it is, Wise's Warriors.
That's the correct list.
That's a good squad. No, I mean, I wanted to take a couple of those guys, obviously. But I'll tell you what. You want to know the depth of this league? Look at Morgan's Mad Dogs. Look at this 5 off the bench. We got instant offense and defense with Reed Shepherd. I mean, you could not ask for a better guy off the bench.
Right.
Matthew Morrell, been waiting for him to just finally bust out because he's always had that untapped potential in Oxford.
Right.
Now he's got help, and I really think he's got a chance to have a breakout season. You've got Dillingham for Kentucky.
He's a problem.
He doesn't play like a freshman at all.
He is a problem for every opposing coach.
Absolutely. Nobody wants to guard him. And look, is Trevon Brazil one of the top 10 players in the league? Not necessarily, but I needed a rim protector. I needed an enforcer. He'll get me rebounds. He'll block shots. He's an enforcer that we need surrounding those great guards and wings.
Connect, Grant Nelson in the conversation
Absolutely.
as well.
The amount of talented guards in the league this year is staggering. It is a very deep year for guards in the Southeastern Conference. And I think Kentucky's guards are the best we've seen. I would go back to De'Aaron Fox and Malik Monk. That good. As Samuel inching closer and closer to 1,000 career points. I believe that's 2 away. Or 3 away. 3 away. No, 1 away. Let me get my slide rule out. He's 1 away from 1,000. Kelly on a pull-up. Nice jumper that time.
Yeah, he made 1 in the first half.
Better days ahead for Quinnipiac. They will certainly make some noise in the Metro Atlantic Conference. But if there is any questions whether the Gators would be motivated, spirited, lethargic, perhaps, as you see often in the game that falls on this side of the calendar, they have been up to the task from the opening tip. There's been no lack of energy, no lack of juice. They have brought their A game to the table today.
We talked about in the Open that Todd Golden would want his team on point today. With Kentucky looming 1 week from today, well, the Gators have done that. And, you know, guys get more minutes in a game like this, and let me tell you how I feel about this. If you're a guy that doesn't get a lot of minutes, there's no such thing as a bad minute. So make the most of every opportunity.
let the Alex Klatsky chance begin.
Early.
Might be a little early. 6:15 on the clock. He's more of an under 4 guy typically. And as always, Mark Wise's instructions for players coming off the bench this late.
You know it.
We're not trying to teach young kids to be selfish. That's just the Mark Wise way.
Well, I did do that with Axel Horschel. Can I go ahead and admit that? I did that on national television.
Yes.
Don't throw the ball. Come on, shoot it.
Telling a 4-year-old to not even look to pass, just chuck it.
High-low set.
Samuel bottled up and fouled.
And that's what I'm talking about with Samuel and Condon or Hanlogton, how they can run that high-low set with multiple personnel. It makes it very difficult to defend.
All right, speaking of golf analogies, this would be like lining a putt up here. This is for career point number 1,000. Well, gonna have to wait.
And one of the reasons why Florida has struggled at the line, Samuel goes there a lot, and he's just 53%.
Yeah.
So unless his percentage gets a lot better, I don't know that Florida's percentage is going to get a lot better.
Kelly lines up a 3. Condon top 4 for the rebound. Here comes Aberdeen, another alley-oop, and there is 1,000 and 1,001 in emphatic fashion for Tyrese Samuel.
Yeah, I think everybody on the bench knew it because they are all up. I would expect Samuel to come out soon.
Tyrese Samuel eclipses the 1,000-point plateau and likely do so in the middle of a Gator victory. He becomes the 5th Gator in double figures in this game.
Congratulations, Tyrese Samuel.
You know what I love about his game, too? He lets the game come to him. You don't see him force much of anything.
1 rebound short of a double-double. He's already got 5 on the year.
And you know he'll have several of those in conference play.
Shouldn't you go back and find another rebound?
All about the stats for you.
Good outlet that time.
And we're going to foul or a goaltend? Foul. Kugel, meanwhile, continues to struggle from behind the arc. Now 0 for 3 today, so 0 for his last 19 from behind the arc.
But I like that look. It came in the flow of the offense.
Yeah, I mean, he's not forcing these threes.
Right.
And quite frankly, it's not like they're hitting the backboard. A lot of them look like they're spot on, but when you get into a slump like this, sometimes you feel like the rim, instead of being your best friend, is your worst enemy.
Shrinks. Both coaches going deep into their bench. Quinnipiac, we talked about Florida's first opponent in conference play being Kentucky. Quinnipiac's already played 2 league games, but their next league game is at home against the preseason favorite Rider. And so that'll be a big game.
I'm going to put you on the spot in a second. Nice move. Nice looking move by Alex Condon. A little up and under.
I think J.J. Riggins came up a little gimpy there.
So I noticed going through the Quinnipiac schedule and the Metro Atlantic schedule, they play 20 conference games.
Right.
The SEC is about to add Oklahoma and Texas next season. It'll be a 16-team juggernaut league. Do you think the SEC ever goes from 18 to 20 league games?
Well, I think that's up for debate. I know one thing. Once you go to 20 games, you kind of limit the non-conference possibility.
Right.
I would not want to see that go away.
92-60. Not the only thing left in doubt is whether or not Florida reaches the century mark. The Gators are seeking their second perfect month since the 2014 team that went unbeaten 3 straight months on its way to a Final Four. The last time the Gators had an undefeated month, November of 2021, when Florida was 6-0.
Love that move by J.J. Riggins, a little left-handed baby hook.
Great ball movement, sets up an open 3. And then an offensive rebound. Flying in. Rishwain. There you see that. That was Billy's last Final Four squad in 2014. I got to say something, too. There was an article written in The Athletic kind of breaking basketball programs into tiers. Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3, kind of like we were just doing with the SEC not long ago. And there was a lot of Florida fans that took issue with this, and deservedly so, where they were on that list. I mean, if you look at from 94 through 2017, you got 9 Elite Eights, 5 Final Fours, 2 national championships. That, of course, is a hard act to follow, first for Mike White and now for head coach Todd Golden. But the recent history of this program would lend itself to being in a higher tier than the article actually mentioned.
You mentioned that last Final Four back in, the Final Four, the Scotty Wilbekin team in 14. They went to the Elite Eight in 11, 12, and 13.
Right.
And one of the things I got asked a lot about, what does Florida have to do to get over the hump?
Yeah.
And I'm like, the hump? You're going to the Elite Eight every year. Where do you think the hump is?
Well, I mean, it's more proof of the bar was set so high by Billy Donovan. I mean, you just can't you can't describe enough how 4 Final Fours, 2 national championships, to where this fan base, and you could sense it when we talked to Billy in those latter years, fan base got spoiled.
Sure.
And expected Final Fours almost every year, and there's a lot of premier programs, like a Kentucky, for example, that can tell you it ain't that easy to get to a Final Four.
Yeah, there's no question about that.
See, Billy Donovan's father attends a lot of games here. One of his sons is here in the Gainesville area. Of course, Billy still coaching in the NBA with the Bulls.
How about that block by Haupt?
He's always active, isn't he?
Yes, bouncy. That's the way I describe all 4 of Florida's bigs. All 4 of them are bouncy, especially around the rim.
Kugel is still in this game. And that time, everything but the bucket. And then a foul. Is that on Kugel?
Take another look at the last basket. This pass by Kugel. Impact the game in different ways. Nifty little pocket pass, and Haupt with the finish.
I still think we have not even come close to seeing Riley Kugel's best game as he misses his first free throw of the day. I mean, if you combine some of the floor game of this year with the flat-out shooting prowess and almost assassin-like approach to the game late last year, I mean, again, you do have a guy who's got NBA written all over him. If he can combine all those things in one fell swoop. And you know it's going to happen. It's just a matter of when.
I agree with that. Remember, he does have 3 20-plus games this year. I want to go back to the Billy Donovan era. They went to the Final Four, the championship game in 2000.
Yep, Michigan
and then
State.
for 5 straight years, they did not get out of the first weekend.
Right.
And everybody was wondering, is that the ceiling?
Yeah.
Little did they know.
It's Klatsky. It's Klatsky time. Alex Klatsky, redshirt senior, Colts Neck, New Jersey. The students are not here. Right?
Yes.
So
They're on my side,
Yeah.
by the way, about Klasky getting his shots off.
Oh, without question. They're here in spirit, and if they were here, they'd be behind us screaming in excitement and jubilation for another Klatsky cameo. There he comes. I'll say one other thing about those back-to-back national championship teams. Keep in mind, one McDonald's All-American. That was Brewer.
Right.
It doesn't have to be just a bunch of McDonald's All-Americans to win national titles. In fact, if you look at the Final Four the last few years, very few Final Four players on the squads.
I will tell you this. I think UConn, if they get healthy, I think they have a shot at repeating. I think they're that good.
Yeah, well
But
coached.
the big guy's out.
Nice shot that time. Arian Lewis, a senior out of Philadelphia.
All right, got to get a shot up.
That one raises the front iron. Gators sitting on 95 points. Will they get to the century mark? Lewis on a step back.
He's played quite a few minutes today in the backup role and has been efficient.
Aberdeen circus shot on a wheel and deal.
Do these guys not know that Klasky's on the floor?
They want him to get
The last one?
the last one, the one that puts him at 100. A 3 would do that here.
Yeah, they've got to shoot. Here we go.
He needs a screen. He's got the screen. He's got the look. He's got the air ball.
It was nothing but net.
Yes,
but it didn't
was.
go through the rim.
Right. It's minor technicality.
I love the mentality, though.
It was straight on. Final seconds tick away on this one. Again, the Gators are going to improve to 10-3 on the season. They've got a matchup with maybe the top team in the SEC coming in. And that could be debated by some, but I don't think anybody's looking better right now than Coach Cal's Kentucky Wildcats. They'll have a date with the Gators right here in a sold-out O'Connell Center. That'll be a lot of fun. 52 points in the first half for Florida. That tied a season record. And another 45 in the second. The Gators win this one convincingly, 97-72.